Hello, welcome to Breakaway with Dawn and Friends. Today, we're going to dive into the journey of self belief and how taking initiative can lead you to a major breakthrough in your career. I have Miss Radio Voice, aka Angela, back with us today to share, her journey and the courage that she had to request a promotion and not only earn it, but stay dedicated to it. And she actually got it. So I'm so proud of her confidence and the fact that she believed in her abilities to declare something and then get it. Like you guys know, I'm all about manifesting and putting that out there. And so if you ever had that doubt and wonder how to take the next step in your professional life, I think this episode will be insightful. And I'm so honored to have her share her story. So, hi, Angela.
Hello, Dawn. Thank you so much for having me back. And hello, everyone who's listening.
Don't you just love that radio voice? I love it. Sorry. So one day we're in the office and we're just socializing, right? And we're talking about work and how busy it is, and she was like, I'm going to talk to my boss, and I was like, you should, So she's like, I'm going to talk to my boss. I'm going to lay it out there, say all that I do, and she really did take on a lot of things, and as you can hear in her voice, she is always this way, so pleasant, so calm, and but she has that confidence in her. And so I remember us speaking about it, and I told her, okay, whether you get it or not, remember we said we'll talk about this, but I was like, what do you have to lose? Just do it, have the conversation, because I can tell you as a manager, you know, we have our own perception by what we see. And so I don't think people advocate enough for themselves. And so, like let's say you came to me and I'm like, in my head, this girl's not ready, then that's my opportunity to help you, right? But if I see that in you and you see it in yourself, because remember, I can see something in you and you not see it, right? So
Mhm.
I'm just saying from a manager's perspective what it can be like. So I remember encouraging her.
Absolutely.
So I'm
And
going to shut up so that she can speak. Oh, but I'm just so proud of her.
thank you so much, Dawn. It's like a praise report to be able to come back here and after us having that conversation, the manifestation is manifesting, really, because you and I definitely remember us talking about it maybe, what, 2 months ago, and
Yes.
and that day really is when the pieces started to be put into play, and actions, putting actions to my life, and making those steps. I will say that I've always been very confident in my competence and in my workplace abilities, and I think that's one of those things that comes from the inside first. So there's everything is twofold. You have your external variables and the internal ones, and that self-confidence that we started the conversation with is one of those internal variables that I think
Yeah.
truly, you have to pull that from the inside, and the external validation will follow. And I've always believed in that. But I think it's important to note also that we never feel entitled to anything.
No.
Um, you put in the work, and you firstly give yourself the credit for that work that you're putting in. And I think that was the first step in all of this. I've always had a mindset of gratitude. And, I always tell people I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be employed. I'm happy to be working with such great people, happy to be loving the job that I do. I genuinely love the work that I do. And I think that is where it all started, with putting in the work, putting in the effort, volunteering for, additional tasks and responsibilities, not necessarily to get anything out of it, but to learn and be appreciative and take full advantage of what we have here, in our company. And then from that was the acknowledgement, I guess the self-awareness of, wait a second, I work pretty darn hard here. Like I'm working a lot. And when I look at my, the scope of my job and what I'm doing, I think I deserve a little bit of, I think I deserve that recognition and that compensation. And the time had
Mhm.
come, where it felt right.
Mhm.
Like I've been doing this not for 2 weeks, not for 2 months, but
Mhm.
2 years now, where it was like I've
Wow.
been doing it. happily with the,
Mhm.
happily to learn and to grow from it. But I think now is the time to really step into that officially and to own that. And that's where it kind of stemmed from, was, from there, from that self-awareness, that self-confidence, and that appreciation for self and for the work that you do, using your voice to speak up and
Yes.
advocate for yourself. So
Yes. Yes.
thankfully, thankfully I have a really great relationship with my coworkers, and I have a really great relationship with my manager, that we've built with time together. You grow with each other and you develop that trusting relationship, that good relationship. And so it was comfortable for me through that to be able to open up to her and say, I want us to consider the work that I've been putting in and the compensation that I get for that, and also kind of just the title that I have. Um, and maybe, can we talk about next steps? I'm ready for next steps. And I kind of put that out there for her. And on, the way that you were talking from a management perspective, that's what I think makes this episode of the podcast really, really special, as well as we're getting two kind of opposite perspectives. You come
Yes.
from a place of management, working with people, and the wisdom of, your experience in the role. I'm kind of on the other side, starting out but aspiring to get to that place. And so I feel like we're meeting at two different seasons, different points in our career, in the
Yes.
middle here, and having this conversation,
Yes. And
and
I
seeing
love that.
those.
Yes, because
Yeah.
there is two sides to this, even from like my manager experience, right? So there's two things you said that I want to touch on. So I loved how you said, because I feel people don't understand that. So let's say you come in every day, you show up and you do everything I expect you to do. So you come on time, you do your job, you get it done, you have a good attitude, right? You're a team player, all these, like that's what's expected of you. You're doing your job. And some people really think that like they deserve more because they're actually just doing their job. So I love that you said, you volunteered, you took on more things, and it wasn't just short for a short period of time. I'm not saying it has to be 2 years. I'm not giving a time frame. And like you said, it all aligned for you. But I do feel on the other end, like the employee, like they just, I don't, and please forgive me, don't get upset, but I just feel this generation is like very entitled. I don't know. Like it's very hard as a line manager. Like it is so hard to deal with this generation and how they think. And so then it makes me think, am I wrong? Like in the sense of, gosh, like should I expect more? I don't know. Like it's
Mm.
just seeing how they think and what they want. And then I'm more old school in what I've come, like I'm just trying to find that balance. So I just love that not only said like I I come in grateful, like I come in and I'm telling you as a manager, we love that because at the end of the day, we're all dispensable. Like we can all be replaced, right? So
Mhm.
when you come in and you're just so happy, you love what you do, because I'm a firm believer, that reflects on your work. Like if you have that positive attitude. So coming and having, I mean, everything you said exactly is what I would invest in as well. I mean, line manager into the employees, someone that comes in that has the greatest attitude, that comes in and does the work and, does more. Like when you show those things and consistently.
It's Thank you, John. It's one of those things where I don't know, I suppose it could depend on the motive. I think you have some younger listeners here who are probably starting off in their career, or maybe in their career and looking, for some tips or guidance on how they can kind of advance to the next level. And for me, I think it's looking at every opportunity to do more as an opportunity to learn, and whether that benefits you. Again, kind of going back to motive, you could see it purely from the financial point of view, where, okay, I'm working more if I'm getting paid more. Or you can see it from an experience point of view, which is how I always viewed it, was at the end of the day, volunteering to, perform tasks that may be out of my scope or beyond my role. I was still seeing it as a benefit because, I don't know, I guess, if for lack of a better way to describe it, it's going on the job resume.
Yeah.
It's going on the LinkedIn account as an added skill. And who
Yes.
knows, maybe not if in this workplace environment, the next one, they're going to see that skill. They're not going to ask how much I got paid for it. They're not going to remember what my salary was. They're going to remember what roles and responsibilities I had. And so that was my, motive, so to speak. The rest kind of just fell into place. Doing that with kind of like a happy heart, just grateful to be where I am in this day and have the opportunities that I have. And then having again that self awareness and the confidence really to say, you know what, I think I've been doing this for long enough to empower myself to ask for what I think I deserve. Um,
Hmm.
and so I think that's a little like a little tip I would give. I
It
agree with
is.
you that a lot of people maybe do have that sort of entitled mindset where it's like, I'm only going to do more if I'm getting compensated to do more or if I'm
Yes.
getting the title to do more. But think
Hmm.
about it in the sense that you are getting something from this just through the experience and the knowledge that you gain. That turns
Hmm.
into expertise. And if you're not getting compensated for that in your current work environment, you will in the next. So,
Right, right. I mean, because I do believe just in life, what you put out is what you get, right? So if you show up and you do that, I promise you, like, and I've done it with many employees. When the time comes, I'm going to remember who put in that extra effort, and I'm going to do what I can, when I can,
mhm.
to show them my appreciation. And so, um, I think that was well said by you.
Oh, thank you. I also really, really liked what you said about as management, you have your visibility and, you kind of have your idea of who's putting in what and where they are and how
Hmm.
they're feeling. But I was, mentored by somebody a while ago at the beginning of my career, and I will never forget some of the best advice that they gave me was when it comes to a year-end review or a one-on-one touch base with your manager, always bear in mind that they cannot, and maybe they should not, be grading you at a level above what you would grade yourself. If you're asked, what is the quality of my work? And you reply with, it's decent. It's proficient. It's good. I mean, how can they be, grading you or rating you at a great, excellent, above and beyond if you're not,
Yes.
again, advocate for yourself, acknowledge the work that you do because you are doing that amazing work, and don't be ashamed to shine in that and to own that. That really
Yeah.
does empower you, and I think it empowers, if I may be so bold to say and assume, I think it empowers the management as well to say that this is an employee who's stepping into their light, stepping into to their work ethic and owning that. And there's no doubt about it. They're confident in what they do.
Yes.
They're ready for more,
Yes.
and they're telling me that.
So yes, there's two sides to that. So one is, like I said earlier, I hope you see what I see in you. So I feel as a manager, a line manager, my job is to see you, to identify your weaknesses and your strength, right? So, and I'm going to build on those weaknesses, right? So a lot of times I'll see things in people that they don't even see, but it's
Mhm.
like, and I'll tell them, like, I'm very like open and I'll let them know, but it's like, I can see this, but if you don't rise to that, like I can't do much for, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
if an employee comes, like you said, I'm the biggest person, advocate for yourself, use your voice. We all have it, right? And I feel by using your voice, Angela, let's be real. Like if your actions and your work did not measure up to what you said, you would have not gotten promoted. Okay. So because what you stood up for, what you used your voice for, matched what you've actually delivered, you get promoted. Do you know what I mean? So,
100%. And that
right?
feeds back into the self awareness piece.
Yes.
And, we're not, like I said earlier, we're not entitled or feel that we're owed something. It's that we recognize the work that we put in. That's the first step. And the second step is speaking up about that.
Right.
So, absolutely
Yes.
agree.
Yeah. So I think if you're sitting there thinking, I wonder what my boss thinks, if you don't know, you should really ask your boss. Yeah, honestly. Right. So, I mean, when I was talking to you, you had that confidence, and like, I would never not encourage someone because that's just me. But like when you spoke about it, And by any means, I'm not taking any kind of credit. I just know we had the conversation. I want to make that clear. But she just had this confidence. And I was like, now me knowing certain facts about the company, and I know she was wearing multiple hats, I'm like, good for you. Am I good for you? Do it, girl. Talk to her. See, let's see, like, I do think that if you don't know, like you really do, need to meet with them and say, like, okay, this is where I think I'm at. What can I do to be better? Like, you really do have to, take that initiative. And that's another way of using your voice. It's not just like, I want more, I need more. Like, we're not just saying that. We're just use your voice, advocate for yourself to get there. And like you said, there's some jobs, and we've all done it, where you're just there to learn. Right. So, I remember working, as a lab assistant, and I did a lot of tech work, but I was willing to do that because I wanted to be a tech. Like, I took that as free training, to be honest with you. Right. So, many moons ago, when I was a lab assistant, I didn't care. And, one day someone came up to me and says, can you please stop? You're making the rest of us look bad. And I was like, what? No, I'm not gonna. I want to learn this stuff. This is what I want to do, So I'm
Oh,
like,
I
either you step
love
up or
that.
get out of my ways. I literally told that person, like, no,
I
So
love that, Dawn. And that's a hot tip. Another, like two hot
mhm,
tips. The first
mhm,
being, if you don't feel like you have a quite, I don't know, if you're unsure that you know where you stand in your work
mhm,
ethic and in the work that you're putting out, ask. Use your voice to ask as well. That's beautiful. And then the second
mhm.
piece that you touch on that I think is also very important, don't let others dull your shine. Don't let
No.
others stand in your way, and don't stand in your
Mhm.
own way. This is your
Yes.
life and your time, your
Yeah.
opportunities. So,
Yes.
brilliant point there as well, Dawn. Is the
Right.
external another external factor to consider? Sometimes the people around us may not necessarily think that we're ready, but you'll know when you're ready. Your manager will know when you're ready, and at the end of the day, it's between you two.
Exactly. So I have to ask you, because I think people on this platform know me a little more, and I talk a lot about myself because I tell my experiences, right? But I'm curious. I feel you have the same energy, the same positivity. So I want to hear from you. I want you to share with everyone. Like, I see this with the team where they let other people's bring them, they let them bring them down. They let things affect their mood. And when I see it, I try to take them to the side and, like, okay, what's going on? Like, you don't give that power. Like, this is literally affecting you and it doesn't need to, right? So, like, I need to know, what do you do to keep yourself, with that gratitude attitude? Love that. That rhymes. And not
Put that.
letting others, deter you from that, because sometimes, coworkers they can suck the life out of you, like, so I'm just curious for you, because you do have that, like, how do you deal with that?
My gosh, it's a really good question, Dawn. I think the laws of the universe go, we tend to receive what we put out. And I will say with a grateful heart that I put out a lot of positive energy. I
Yes.
receive a lot of positivity in return. So adversity, at least in this workplace, as far as pushback or, complaints or anything, I've managed to, I think that's my first line of defense really, is if you're putting out a good attitude, if you're putting out optimism and an authentic, genuine willingness to help. It's maintaining that, good vibes kind of all around. It recirculates, it recycles. So that's the first thing. But I think I've also become an expert in sort of compartmentalization. I think Claudia will like this term. I think it's a psychology term.
We do talk about oh my god, now I can't say it right.
Compartmentalization. Yeah.
All the time, yes, because
You
that's how
have
I
to.
survived,
You've
honestly.
got to. You've
Yes,
got to, especially in the professional work environment,
yes,
especially I can imagine when you're a leader of a team, you're going to have so many different points of view, so many voices coming at you. And I think the best way to avoid taking things personally, letting things sit and stagnate and follow you throughout your day and bleed one into the other, is just being able to separate yourself in those situations, or even to separate those situations from each other. So, for example, I lead a daily call a global call where we have a
Mhm.
lot of people joining in and they get spicy.
They
Sometimes
do,
people,
and this is why I'm asking you, by the way. I was gonna take you there. I'm glad you went there.
it's a, oh my gosh, sometimes it's crazy to think. I think I'm the youngest one on that call. Everyone that I am dealing with is
I'm sure.
way way wiser and more senior in their careers, and then there's little me in the center, basically managing it, playing the, the middleman and kind of the parent, you know. So many different personalities on this call, and most of the time you can kind of see they're fighting with each other, they're and I think these are key points to remember. What are people actually, kind of disagreeing with, whether it's a person disagreeing with where you want to go with your career, or a decision that you
Mhm,
want to make with your life, or with your team, or maybe one person doesn't agree with the nature of the role that they're performing, that they're responsible for. So when somebody expresses disagreement or pushback, ask
mhm.
ask what they're really pushing back against. Is it you as a person? Is it the system? Is it their understanding of things? These are all variables that contribute. It's not always personal. I think I've gotten really, really good at that, is being able to be on these calls, understand where the frustration is really directed towards and where it's really coming from.
So
That
true.
perspective allows us to walk away from a situation and be a little bit more at peace with it, knowing that's not our responsibility to carry that burden, or take that energy in. It's a situation, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I love that. No, I say that all the time, so I love that you said that because that self-awareness, man, it's powerful, right? And I
Oh
mean, or
yeah.
just even just saying like, okay, where is this coming from? Like, 'cause as a life coach, that's what we do. We question, right? We don't do the why. That's what therapy is for. So as a life coach, we do the questions, right? So
Mm.
why is this person really angry? It's not about me. So just
Yeah.
reflecting on that and knowing that, like you don't take it in and it doesn't sit with you. So I think that's a
Yes.
golden nugget, Angela.
I can testify here that that is
Mhm.
something I benefit so much from. The sooner that you can pick this up as a skill, I think
Mhm.
the easier, the better your life will be. You will see growth much quicker because you're not letting these things affect you in that way. And I apply that to so many areas of my life, not just the professional
No. Yep.
environment and all the
Yes.
different ways, but also in my personal life. Shoot, sometimes, I'm at the gym and I see some guys getting really aggressive over some equipment, or I'm using like the bench press and I can tell they're waiting, they're super impatient. They're not mad at me. It's a Friday night. The gym is packed. It's that time of day. They're probably just, you know, frustrated with the
Mhm.
situation. But that's just an
Mhm.
example to say you can
Yes.
really apply this anywhere, and it will
Yes.
help you
Yes.
all the time. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I like that. I do have to tell you, the other day I walked up to one of the team members and I asked her a question. I asked her very general question. And then I said, do you feel comfortable doing that? And she's like, I think so. And she said, but it feels weird for me that I am, it's that I, like she put herself as less than, like it's that I'm talking to someone that's more senior and I'm telling them like, hey, we need this done. Right. So like,
Mm,
it's like our pending list. And so she didn't feel comfortable like reaching out to the different types of groups to say like, hey, this is almost
you got to do
overdue,
this.
like,
Yeah.
like we need
Yeah.
this. And so she says, it's a little uncomfortable and I just think it's weird that I'm telling them. And I said, what do you mean by that? Because this is what this is your job, right? And it takes all of us to do this, right? So I said, I hope you don't mind me saying, but I really hope you don't ever let anyone belittle you. Like
Yeah.
that like you are you and you're here and you have a job and it takes all of us. There is no one here above anyone here. So I appreciate that you acknowledge a senior role, but at the end of the day, like we all have a job to do, and it takes all of us to do it. So please don't ever belittle yourself or let anyone belittle you. And oh my gosh, like the person got a little emotional and I felt so bad. I said, oh my God, I'm sorry. She goes, no, 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 it's not you. It's not you. I just, you know, I have a little, she didn't say PTSD, but she was like, I just have, I forgot what she said from the past, like
Sounds
people,
like
I guess,
she's gun
putting her
shy to
down.
certain.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
they were putting her down. And so then she felt like, well, maybe that's where I belong, kind of like, again, this is my opinion of it, but I couldn't believe it. So I said, okay, I'm going to give you a minute. I didn't mean to,
Oh,
touch that. She's like, no, I needed to hear that. It just like, it crushed my heart. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, so then she's so, I gave her a minute, whatever. And so I said, do you want to talk? Not right now, whatever. So then she comes up to me and she's like, okay, I feel better now. I'm like, okay, so you want to talk? No. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, we don't have to. But I was like, so I made it a mental note. So then, every time I check on her, are you good? Do you feel comfortable? Remember, you
yeah.
got this. And I just try to uplift and just make sure that like she feels good and confident about what she's doing. Again, I can do that. But at the end of the day, she needs to embody that so that she can
Mhm.
believe it. Right. So I just feel as a line manager, like this is like, I love this. Like this is the part of my job that I love. And I think a lot of line managers don't take the time or have the energy or their bandwidth to pour into their team. So I'm a very big, um, what is that? I
Like an
love to do that. Like
advocate.
that's my,
Yeah.
thank you, advocate. That's the word I was going to say. A big advocate for that. So
I
you almost said it, but you're so cute how you're like, it's just me. And then I have all these, and that's what made me think of it, by the way, when you're like, and QA, yes, you're right. Like you deal with all departments and all levels. And, we're on that call for no good reason, like not for a good reason, unfortunately. And so that's why I asked you that, because you have to like, okay, define what the information that's given to you, the facts that are there, and then you got to define how to move forward. And so I just love that,
yeah.
you don't let that, you still come and you rise to that occasion. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dawn. I think it's another really big thing is going to be the shift of perspective. And it kind of what you were saying about, this associate sort of, I think, reminds me of my own role being younger and a little less senior, but still having to tell people kind of what to do with less years in the same company. It's the perspective, it's the self perspective, rather than see it as, uh, you know, the type of role that I have, kind of policing everyone and running after people, catching them when they do something bad. I see myself as the person that comes in to help when something bad happens. And as the
Yes.
the person kind of pulling them out, holding their hand and guiding them through, how can we get ourselves out of this mess? How can
Mhm.
we explain ourselves and really make the right actions that we need to do to prevent something from happening again? And I would advise the same thing to your employee. Don't look at it as a way of, okay, I'm coming in here brand new, having to tell people that are maybe above me or people who have more years experience than me what to do. You're coming in as an insurance policy. You're helping the team and in some many ways saving the day. They should be grateful.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, don't let no one make you feel less than. And for me, if I know of someone like, who are you to tell me that? Oh, please give it to me. And I will let that person know who you are. And I will remind them of what you just said. Like, this is, and I like how you said that. This is the insurance part of like the insurance plan. Like, like we are insuring. This is
Yes.
going, I love that. But yeah, thank you. I think hopefully
Yeah.
we can take that
It's
away and
seeing ourselves for the help that we contribute and the good that we're doing for the team. And sometimes that comes in the form of telling people what to do, rescuing people out of something, or
Mhm,
preventative measures like giving someone a
mhm.
heads up when something is coming down the line. I don't see any of that. My perspective is I don't see any of that as, stepping out of line or stepping over toes. I see that as a
No, right,
contribution to the team.
right,
And I think
right.
that what she experienced with you was a breakthrough in the
I
best
hope
of
so.
ways. In the
Yes.
best, and they're
So,
not always comfortable, but they're
no,
necessary. You were
yes.
probably having she probably had to unlearn some sort of toxic
Mhm.
mental,
Mhm.
some mind
Mhm.
frames coming from a previous place, but now you're empowering her to step into a more teamwork oriented, helping
Mhm.
each other out s- state of
Knowing that
mind.
she has value that she can contribute, right? Because we all
Yes,
do, right? So I feel that's why life coaches are needed, because there's power in
100%.
words, and people don't realize, the power that carries. You know what I mean? Whether it's your thoughts, your feelings, or what you're saying. And so I feel that, this is why we need life coaches.
Yes. Yes,
But
I agree.
I'm sure you'll agree with me. The importance of this conversation is recognizing your own growth, take initiative, prepare yourself for the next step, ask for that encouragement, and then, believe in yourself no matter where you are in your career or life for that matter, right? Believing in yourself first is the first step towards your significant change, right? If that's what you want, right? So, I invite the listeners to reflect on their own careers, or if you can apply this to your personal situation, I lost my thought. Oh, ask themselves if they're ready for a new challenge. And so I think that that's what you have to do. And Angela definitely was ready for that challenge, was ready for that recognition. And she knew her value. She went out, she got it, and it worked. And I love that story. And I wanted to share it with everyone because I just think we need to encourage ourselves more, each other, believe in ourselves. And, with one thing at a time, this becomes a better place to live in, right? A better world.
Hmm. Absolutely, Dawn.
Yay! So
So
keep
wonderfully said.
pushing. Yes, thank you. So keep pushing, keep shining, keep thriving.